Perfect. Perfect.
Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another speed build. It is time for a mansion on a 64 by 64 lot in Del Sol Valley, and I decided to call this the Glass Cube Mansion because I put a heavy focus on using these island living glass floors, and I built a big glass cube, which was a lot of work. This was super tedious, and I generally implemented a lot of these glass floors in the build. I used the tool mod to rotate these glass floors. As you can see here, I wanted to have a big entry in the back, so it kind of fits to the whole theme. I wanted this to be very eye-catching, and I replicated the same thing in the front of the house. So we have this entry in the back of the house where it leads to the garden, and then we have a similar one in the front, so it all makes sense. So it's one theme, so the front doesn't look boring, so it's kind of the same layout. And then I just started to work on the house. At this point, I think I didn't even knew that I would use so many of these glass floors. I used an excessive amount of glass floors for this build, and I was running into a couple of fun problems. I'm going to talk about those problems that don't really have anything to do with this glass floor, but it was just hilarious. So in my last speed build, I said that I would like to build a modern build if you guys would like to, but I didn't want to create a very typical modern build. Like when I work on a modern build, it oftentimes looks quite futuristic, I'd say. There is a lot going on in my modern builds. I also like to use a lot of wood, so I have a contrast between white and some wood colors. For example, this is like a typical KateEmerald modern build, I'd say, but here I wanted to take a different approach. So I think that this is quite modern on the exterior and also on the interior, but it has a very, very clean, sleek design. It's not a really typical modern build when it comes to what I usually build. And I only used white on the walls, no other color for the exterior, which was like really hard. At some point, I definitely wanted to slap a bit of wood on the walls here and there. You guys just know me, but I really held myself back. I wanted to have this super clean design, so there's only white and black. The roof is black, but it's a very dark gray. I use black columns. I only use the black swatch for the glass floors, and the only pop of color really is the pool probably. Later on I'm going to, no, I already changed the color. I used the water swatch, if that's a thing, that is part of Get Together. It has this beautiful blue color, it has this slightly green tint, it just looks magical, and it's so much more beautiful than the regular base game pool color in my opinion. I really like to use this one. To be honest, I think I always use this one, except when I'm working on a base game build. And as you can see here, there is some glass in the front of the pool. I've also made a tutorial about this. You can check out the tutorial playlist down below in the description box. So there is a debug foundation, or there are two debug foundations now. And at first, this debug foundation was introduced in City Living. It's completely translucent, and you can apply it to a foundation just like you'd apply any other foundation color to a foundation, and then you just add your pool. And it was added in City Living, as I said, but then we got a base game patch at some point. This was probably a year ago or something, and the same foundation, the exact same foundation, was added to the base game. So now you don't need any packs for this type of pool. I've also used it in base game builds in the past because it's beautiful, it's so eye-catching, and it's just super cool. I just love it. It's something different, and I'm so glad that we got this foundation at some point. And as you can see here, I added a bit of grass to the build. So this is a Strangerville debug object. It was super tedious and really annoying to work with this for this build. I wanted to fill all the empty spaces with this debug object because I knew that I would have a lot of lawn I wanted to have a very spacious garden. Usually I just go crazy when it comes to landscaping, and here I didn't use the terrain tools, and I really wanted to have a bit of empty space, so it's really airy and just spacious and just beautiful. And maybe if you'd grab this build from the gallery, you could also add just anything you would like to. I don't know, maybe some monkey bars because you have some kids in the family. I don't know, just anything, or maybe some planting pots. So I decided to use this object, and it was like horrible. At one point it was just poking right through the pool wall, and I had to find a solution for this, and you really have to find the correct position for this object so all the different lines or the stripes line up so it looks good. And yeah, but I think it looks good. I really like how it turned out eventually, but you have to keep in mind when you use this object, you can click on the lawn and tell your sim to go there, but any object that was placed on the lawn is of course fully functional. So if you don't like that, you can simply get rid of this object if it's bothering you. I think it's not a big issue, but everyone is different, so you could simply delete it. And here I'm using a rug. It's supposed to be a rug. It's made out of stone, and it's part of Get Together. And you can see here how I grouped this object, and I used the tool mod for this. You don't have to do this. You could simply grab every single object and then you could move it over to a different place, for example. But if you like to use the tool mod, you can group objects now. This just makes your life easier. So if you are watching me use the mod for stuff like this has nothing to do with what you can build in this game. This was just quick and easy for me. You don't need the mod for this. I just didn't want to move all 6 rocks over and find just the correct position because I had already aligned them. So I just wanted to explain this to you so you know, in case you want to check out the tool mod, that is very convenient and what you can do with it. But also if you watch this and you play without mods, this is nothing that you couldn't achieve without the tool mod. I was just lazy. I just didn't want to move all 6 individual rocks over. And here I'm using some spotty waterfalls. I used the tool mod to size it down, and the thing with the animated objects is that the animation, so the waterfall itself, remains the same, but the frame is so tiny that it's not visible anymore, so I'm only left with the waterfall. And credit for this amazing idea goes to Sadie Sim. She came up with this idea when the tool mod came out with the new update for precision scaling, so shout out to Sadie Sim. Please check her out. She's amazing and such a great friend. I'm going to link her down below in the description box. She deserves all the love. She creates fantasy builds and she's just out of this world talented. She's amazing. So shout out to my good friend Sadie. And then I already started to work on the glass cube. So I used the I Don't Live in Glass fly, as I said, and I rotated this object 90 degrees. And we have a grouping feature and all that, but for some reason I didn't group the whole thing, and I just did it this way, and I just assembled the whole cube, and I was running into a problem on one side. It wouldn't just stay on the same height. Like when you copy an object using tool and you have raised it, when you copy it, it remains at the same height, which is amazing, but for some reason on the right side it wasn't working, and this took a while. I just copied every single object, I raised it, and I just assembled the whole cube, which is why I didn't include the whole footage here, because I don't think that you guys would like to watch me 20 minutes just assembling a glass cube probably, so this is why there was a cut. Now I have the foundation of my glass cube, and I decided to make it even higher, and as you can see here, I'm just randomly placing more of these rocks, and I was just really confused. Like, I really wanted this area to look beautiful. I wanted everything to be aligned properly, so it's symmetrical, and I had no idea what to do, but I'm going to figure this out soon, as you will see. And at first there was a foundation below the glass cube, and then I didn't want that. I wanted to get rid of the foundation, and I was left with a gap at the bottom, and I simply filled this gap using the Get Famous pristine pedestal. I used the black swatch. Usually I really like to use the white swatch for modern builds, but here it was just perfect. At the top on 2 sides I added some type of bridge, so your Sims will be able to walk around the glass cube, and they can leave the house at the top, they can walk around the glass cube, take the stairs so they can enter the garden. It's just a very fancy way to grant your Sims access to the garden from the top floor, and it looks really beautiful in my opinion. And I increased the height of the glass cube, and then at the very top I simply built a floor and added more living glass floors. I mean, this is what it's originally supposed to be. It's a glass floor, so of course I didn't have to rotate anything. I just placed them so I was able to have a beautiful glass roof, and I removed a couple of glass floors so I had a doorway so our Sims will be able to access the glass cube. Later on I'm going to place a couple of palm trees on the inside so it looks beautiful. And I decided to build some stairs. I added some stairs to the pool. These are just decorative, these aren't functional. And I used the Spa Day Stony Goodness Slab for this. So this is a decorative object that is part of Spa Day, and it's supposed to be placed on the water surface. I did that for this pool as well. You may have spotted this. And I sized it up and I just built some stairs. At first I wanted to change the color to black, but then I preferred the white swatch, so I changed the color back. So while I'm arranging a couple of Strangerville debug objects here to have a perfect lawn, and while I'm adding some hedges, I think it's time to talk about all the issues that I was running into while building this. So when I was working on the interior, I decided to add the dine out corner booth, and I never did that before. Like, it's supposed to be placed in a restaurant, but I figured out a way to just use it for a regular kitchen. I wanted to have a dining area, as you will see, but also some type of just a breakfast area where Sims could have a quick meal in the kitchen, this kind of thing. And usually I just use a tiny or small table and a couple of chairs, but this time I wanted to have the corner booth. So I was struggling with this object because I never know which table to use. I filtered by Dine Out, and there are some tables that come with the pack that you can use, and then it has to attach to the corner booth. You can't use any table. And I was kind of fiddling around with this, and I was already a bit annoyed. I was like, what is going on? I was placing like a lot of tables, and then I was done and I made the decision which corner booth to use and which table. It was all fine. And then I started to decorate the kitchen, and everything was well. And at some point I took a look at the exterior at the garden, and I noticed that the light was kind of different. Like, it was really weird. So it was like there was a shadow in the garden, and only the house itself was illuminated by the sun. And I thought, that's weird. I never noticed this. Like, maybe this is what happens when the sun is going down on this a lot. I have no idea. And I was confused, but I ignored it. And then the next day, I loaded my game back up. And when I was in the map overview, in the map view, I noticed that there's like, I couldn't see the house. I'm going to add a picture of this, a screenshot, so you can see what I'm talking about. And I just saw this, and I had no idea what was going on. And then it dawned on me that there has to be some type of huge object on this lot. And this was also the reason why there was like this weird shadow. And I was really confused, and I thought, okay, what's going on? The problem was the object itself wasn't visible. Like, I entered build mode and I didn't notice anything wrong. And then I used the free build camera. When you press tab in live mode, you can just fly around, and I have a mod by Trusted Maxi that allows you to do the same in build mode. So I did that, and I was just investigating, and I was just zooming out, and I was so high up that I saw the edge of the map. I didn't even know that this was possible, and then there was a huge corner booth, and I was just like, it was hilarious, and I had no idea how to delete it. Like, I was in build mode, as I said, using the free build camera, but you can only zoom out using this mod. Like, you can't access the tool, like the sledgehammer tool, for example. So I had no way of selecting this object, and of course I didn't want to bulldoze the whole lot, because I mean, then it would be gone, and I had already furnished the whole thing. I was ready to upload. Originally I had planned to upload yesterday and not today, but I had to postpone the whole thing because of the whole corner booth situation. And then I was really confused and I had no idea what to do. I tried different things. I deleted the whole kitchen because my first thought was that I probably placed the thing in the kitchen and that I sized it up by accident. Sadie actually helped me to solve the mystery. So the mod recommends to only enter a number between 0 and 25 to scale up objects. If you use a number that's too high, something like this could happen. So this is a warning, but I wouldn't enter a number this big while scaling something. And also I didn't even plan to scale this. So this is what Sadie said, and she's right, I didn't think of this. I probably wanted to rotate an object and then I entered a super high number, I don't know, maybe 180 for example, or 90. And then I was entering the number, but I was clicking on scale instead of rotate, and I probably selected this object or I group selected it. So I don't know how it happened, but this is kind of the theory. And then I shared the whole thing on Twitter because it was just too hilarious to not share it. I just had to share my misery with someone. So I tweeted this, and then Twisted Maxi himself came to the rescue and he offered a solution that I didn't even think of. So we have this grouping feature and you can set different grouping boxes, and everything that is inside this grouping box can be toggled. And this might be confusing to anyone who hasn't used the mod yet, but there's a grouping function, and I selected the whole kitchen basically because, as I said, I suspected that I had placed the object initially in the kitchen, and then I selected the whole kitchen and I zoomed out using the free cam and it was green, so it was toggled. The huge corner booth was toggled, so I knew that it was working. And then I entered 1 into scaling and nothing happened, even though 1 is like the default. But then I tried it again and entered 0.5 and then it was working. Suddenly a tiny corner booth appeared in the kitchen. I deleted it right away. I was just so happy when it was gone, to be honest. And I checked the light, everything was fine, no shadow. I zoomed out again because at this point I was like paranoid if it's still there for some reason. And then I was really happy. I mean, otherwise I couldn't have shared this build. Not only was it just like we had this weird light situation, also it was like a bit laggy. Like the huge sized up corner booth was kind of making the game act weird. And also you saw the map view. I mean, you just can't share a build like this, even though it wasn't really visible in build mode itself. But the whole situation was like, I was stressed out because I had already furnished the whole thing, and furnishing is always super tedious. And even though it's fun, like when you are building huge mansions, it's a huge undertaking and you are just happy when you are done furnishing, or at least I am. I just have this wonderful feeling of completion. I'm like, yeah, I'm done, and I'm just happy. And then I was running into this problem. My initial idea was to simply save every single room, like the bedrooms and all that, and the bathrooms, to just save it as a room. Then I wanted to place an older version of the build where I hadn't furnished it yet, and then I just wanted to place the rooms over the empty rooms. This would have been a lot of work as well, but this would have been my other solution. But luckily Twisted Maxi helped me, so this was like a really quick and good solution. So I thought it was funny, like the pictures, it was like, oh my god, what is happening? What have I done to myself in this build? So I wanted to share the story with you guys. And if you're running into the problem, just use the grouping boxes and just make sure to just select a room where you think you might have placed the object. I don't know, if this is confusing you, if this ever happens to you, which I don't expect, just leave a comment, just message me, send me an email. I will help you because I know the struggle. This is like, it was just too weird. And then someone else posted a picture on Twitter, like below my tweet, and the same had happened to someone, but with a chair. But the chair was visible on the lot, which is much easier. Like the problem was that my object was so big that it wasn't visible. So technically, I guess the whole house was inside the sized up corner booth and it was invisible, so I was in the corner booth. So this is like next level. When you size up an object that is so big that it fills the whole lot, you can still see it, but this was like so weird. I mean, you saw the pictures, you know what I mean. Let me know in the comments down below if you have ever run into a weird problem like this, maybe mod related, maybe not, just anything that was just hilarious and weird. And here I'm working on the interior and the floor plan. I included the floor plan in this video because I figured this might be interesting for you guys. Usually I don't really include it because I thought it was boring, but I don't know, let me know what you prefer. Should I include the floor plan? Should I leave it out of the video? Like, just let me know what you prefer because I don't know what you guys want in this case. So I just included it here. You can see how I'm mapping out the different rooms. I made sure that some of the bedrooms have some bathrooms, and I also changed the layout of one of the bedrooms. Like, one of them was like, it was 2 separate bedrooms and 2 separate bathrooms, but then I just removed the wall in the center and I turned it into one big bedroom. Someone recently left a comment saying that some of my bedrooms are too small, so it's kind of disproportional to the size of the house. And I thought about this, and you are totally right. Like, that's true. And I always appreciate feedback. I always appreciate constructive criticism. It just gets you thinking and you're just questioning yourself in a good way. And back then, like, I don't know, maybe a year ago, I only included a couple of bedrooms in each mansion, but these bedrooms were really big. I always included a huge master bedroom. It almost looked like a big, luxurious hotel room, including a fireplace and just an area to sit, like sofas and armchairs and all that. And then at some point, I thought it would be better to squeeze in more bedrooms in one big mansion, so it's more functional, so you could have like space for, I don't know, maybe 8 sims, 7 sims, 6 sims or something. And here I was just kind of trying to find a balance. There are 7 bedrooms, but I made sure that the bedrooms are big enough. Like, there's a master bedroom that is bigger. There's one big kids room that has 2 beds, so it's like a twin bedroom, which is super cute. So I was just kind of trying to find a good mix, and some of the bedrooms are definitely bigger. So I always appreciate your feedback, so thank you, because you just help me improve, and this is just amazing. So I hope that this time the bedrooms have a bigger size, kind of. And here I'm working on the outdoor area, so I was kind of switching back and forth. At first I was working on the whole exterior, and then I was working on the floor plan, and then I wanted to add a couple of things to the exterior. I really enjoyed the very simple, sleek and minimalistic layout, but for some reason I felt like it was still lacking something. But this was like really difficult, because when you add too much, you destroy the whole vibe. It doesn't look really simple and clean anymore, but at the same time you don't want it to look boring. So I was making sure to make it look interesting and to just, I don't know, add a bit of stuff here and there without adding too much, basically. So I added a couple of plants and some glass awnings, which are part of eco lifestyle, so stuff like this. And then I was really happy, and then I started to work on the interior. I mean, you already saw the floor plan, and here we are. So I decided to build the dining room here in this area. I removed the walls in the center and added some columns, so this is open. This way the dining area is separated from the rest of the house, but it's still open, which is always good when you entertain guests. It's like, I think it's good that a dining area is kind of like not super enclosed in a small room or anything. And I was trying to be a bit creative with the curtains. I combined some movie hangout stuff curtains with some, I think, parenthood curtains. I changed the size using Tool, and I think because I made some changes to some objects using the mod, this is how the whole corner boost thing happened. So I tried to have a color scheme that is really friendly. I wanted this to look modern because the exterior is quite modern. I used this glass table. I also included a bar, and in case you have no idea, you can place a bar facing this direction, like facing a wall. I always thought that you had to made sure that there's like space for some bar stools and that you can't place it right at a wall, but you can't, because I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, because this side is the side where the bartender stands, so it makes sense that this is still functional. But like, I had no idea, like I found out months ago, and I wanted to use this little trick. I think it's amazing because when you build a slightly smaller house, for example, you don't always have enough space to include the whole bar stool thing. Sometimes it looks out of place when you have a house that is not really that big, and then you have a whole full-blown bar, including some bar stools and all that. I think this can be too much. It's beautiful. I think that's a good thing. And I try to just have a really interesting layout. I used some island counters going around the corner. I built a wall in the kitchen just to divide the whole area, so you have kind of an entrance to the kitchen basically. And at first I wanted to place some mirrors behind the stove, but this wasn't really working because then the whole decoration was kind of invisible. And then I built the corner booths. I cut out the part where I was struggling a lot, where I was just playing around with this. I shared this on Twitter as well. And then I added some decorations which are part of Eco Lifestyle actually. So I wanted to incorporate some oranges and yellows, so this looks really inviting and happy. I wanted this to be like a good mix, so we have a nice contrast. You guys just know, if you've been around for a while here, that I really like to work with contrast, and this is why I have just a bit of color here and there, just a pop of color. And this is one of the bathrooms. I decided to have some counters for the bathroom, but then I just placed a sink right in front of the counters. I used these Spa Day wall lamps in many parts of the build actually. They are just like a stripe and it's really beautiful. I also used them in the hallway. It looks really modern, so if you want to build a modern build, I can just recommend this. And I really love to use the round mirror, and I also used a lot of dark and simple colors for the bathroom. So the tiles on the floor are black, and then I have some white tiles at the walls. And this is an office. At first I wanted to build another bathroom in there, so we have like 2 bathrooms right next to each other. When you have a big family, this is always a good idea, but then I turned this into an office. The whole build has 8 bathrooms, I think, which is not too bad. There's also an indoor pool, so there's a lot happening. And this is the living room. For the living room, I was struggling a bit because there are windows all around this room, which is amazing. It's really sun-flooded and beautiful. But then I had to come up with an idea for the TV, and I simply built a custom room divider. I used 2 walls, and then I placed a half wall in between these walls, and I placed these Eco Lifestyle wall decorations right at the half wall. You could also freely place them, but the half wall just helps you to have a guideline, so they just snap to the half wall and it's really easy to line them up. So this would be my recommendation. And then I placed a base game shelf right at the top of my half wall, and this way I just had a place where I could place some plants and some candles, just some decorations. And this is really beautiful because it's such a bright and happy room. And this is the master bedroom, or one of the master bedrooms, and this was the room that I was talking about earlier, where I removed a wall in the center. Technically, there was a wall going right through where the bed is standing right now, and the same goes for the bathroom behind this room. So this room is an ensuite. It has a bathroom. It's really beautiful and luxurious, and I just decorated a lot. I placed some lamps on the walls, and behind the bed I placed a mirror and a lamp and more lamps. There's just a lot happening basically. And these are 2 other bedrooms, and for these bedrooms I also tried to be a bit creative, especially for the room on the right side. So I wanted to have a different style for each bedroom. As I always say, bedrooms are a really personal space, and they can be totally different from the rest of the house. It reflects the personality of the sim who lives in this house. And of course, I have no idea who is going to move into this house. Like, some of you might download this build from the gallery, and some of you might let a sim move in here. So I have no idea, but this is kind of what I'm thinking of when I'm building this, that every bedroom is a bit different. And of course you can make some changes to this, but yeah. And then I used some dine out tables in the corner to create a custom nightstand. At first I had no idea what to do, and to just kind of fill the gap in the center. And this looks like really bright. I used a lot of white for this room, and I think these candles are also part of Spa Day. You can place them on a water surface, which is so beautiful. Like, you can use them for stuff like this, but you could also place them on a pool or fountain, which is amazing. I think not everyone knows this, but this is technically technically supposed to be placed on a water surface. Just so beautiful. And this is the twin bedroom that I mentioned earlier. This is so huge that I wanted to include 2 beds, but you could simply delete 1 bed and then your sim kid has a really big bedroom, which is also amazing. I used a really colorful color scheme. I love the rug. So this is just a rug, but the size fit perfectly into the room when I was sizing it up, so I just left it this way, so the floor below isn't even visible anymore, which I think looks really beautiful. I even placed another rug on top, so there is a lot happening color wise. I just love to add a lot of color to my kids' rooms. It's just beautiful. And this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This build is available in the gallery. It's CC free, unmodded, and fully furnished. I sometimes cut out parts of the bathrooms and some bedrooms and all that because it's already gotten so long, but even when this happens, it's like fully furnished. And here I included all my screenshots so you can tell what's going on in this build. I would like to say thank you so much for watching. I also want to inform you that the giveaway winner has claimed their prize. Like they replied within, I don't know, a couple of hours, so this was really quick. So the prize was claimed and soon you will be able to win a chat challenge, hopefully. So I hope you have a perfect day and week. Take care and thank you for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.